Hello. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. And if you are grieving for somebody and you are in a state of distress and loss, bear with me. Nothing I say or think could diminish or underestimate how badly you feel. What I want to say is perhaps death isn't as bad as we think it is. Perhaps death isn't such a bad thing after all. Before we have experienced somebody dying, it's terrifying. It's the end of everything. It is absolutely the stopping point. And we don't know where people go, and if we have a faith, we cling to that. But even then, we don't really know, because the whole point of faith is that you don't have proof. You can't reach out and hold in your hand proof that there is an afterlife and that there is a God. And a lot of people stumble at that point, and they don't know what to make of it, and they're frightened. We are frightened. We are very frightened of death. We experience unutterable loss and pain when we love somebody and they die. It's so big. It's so big. Where on earth did they go? What happened? One minute there was breath in their body and they were breathing and we could recognize them. And the next minute, the breath's gone. However it happens, the breath is gone. And they're still and heavy and inert and different. So the life force is gone. And we, whether we're afraid of it or not, we find it hard to work out what to do next. We can't ask questions. We can ask questions of people here on earth. We can ask medical people. We can ask priests. But really, we don't know. And that is a huge thing to carry. Now, 9 months ago, I found my son dead. I knew he was dead from walking in at the beginning of walking in through the door to his room. I could just tell because there was no life. There was a stillness, and he was white. And I remember then thinking, no, you're not dead. You're not dead. I can see your eyes moving. And of course they weren't moving. And then I think I went just into a kind of shock. I did everything I needed to do. I called the emergency services. A coroner's inquest followed. The funeral followed eventually when we got him back from the coroner's court. And at the inquest, when we were going through the detail of his life and the detail of his addictions and his alcoholism and the difficulty everybody had in actually reaching him and getting him to cooperate with anything. He was only 29. I suddenly thought, my goodness, all this that we're talking about has no bearing on you at all. To my son, his name was Kostya, is Kostya. I thought, Kostya, this has no bearing at all for you. You are beyond and above all this. I imagined perhaps that from wherever you are, you'd be looking down and listening and thinking, well, no, that's right, and that's not right, and you should have said this, and how about that? And I suddenly thought, no. What we're talking about is so painful and so deeply sad and such a potential waste of a life spent in the deepest of addictions. Why would you want to hear any more of this? You lived it. You're above and beyond all that. You are somewhere, I think you're in the greatest rehab that ever existed. You're up there. and all is well. So I began to think perhaps death isn't as bad as we think it is. Perhaps it isn't that bad. For Kostya, it was a welcome relief. For me, I have lost my child. But then the life my child lived and what was ahead for him was so terrible that is actually a relief in all the chaos and the crazy being finished. So I started to think about death itself. Now, I worked for years as a soul midwife, which is a holistic end-of-life companion, emotionally and spiritually, for people who are facing the end of their life and family and friends if they needed support. And I've been at a lot of bedsides and I've seen a lot of dying. And it occurred to me that each time somebody died, there was an enormous amount of loss and pain. But there was something magnificent in it. There was something truly existential, spiritual, divine, unbelievable, scary, odd, inexplicable, but it was powerful. And I thought, for some people, perhaps death is very welcome. Now, we left here on earth, we have to deal with this. And on the night that Kostya died, when I came back here to my house and I tried to go to sleep, I had a thought that there is so much darkness in the world, and the darkness is really insidious, and it overwhelms us with doubt and fear and dislike and pettiness and really, actually, fundamentally, self-dislike, self-loathing sometimes. Sometimes the darkness convinces us that we are worthless, unlovable, and wrong, and we need to be punished somehow by fate, by other people, by circumstance, by our own thoughts. So I thought this, and I thought that the darkness swirled around Kostya so much that no wonder he died. It was too much to stay here. But there is light. And in my mind, at that moment when I was trying to sleep and I thought about the darkness, I thought there is huge light. There is always light, but we forget it's there. We absolutely forget that it's there. We sometimes forget so powerfully that we can even have it. There's no possibility of it. We just have to be in the darkness. That's not true. And I felt such a surge of peace, thinking that I was going to be fine. I'm going to miss my boy. But there is light. There is so much light. And I've been widowed twice. I've lost a brother. I've lost mother and father. I've lost my son. There's been a lot of personal loss. But I'm thinking that, and bear with me here, death can be a gift because it puts into relief life. And in my world, my life is absolutely of the utmost importance. So what will I do with it? I'm not holding on to grief. Well, I am grieving and I am bereaved and I miss my boy and I cry a lot. But I will not go down into the darkness, because the light that is shining is about love and hope. And it's about common sense about yourself. How can you be that bad? How can you be as bad as you think you are? Well, you're not. You're not. I'm not. I'm not as bad as I think I am. I thought it was my fault that he died. It isn't my fault. And even if it was, it would have been an accident. So my life, our lives, after we've lost someone, are so important. We have this one life. We've got one chance. What are we going to do? And sometimes they say it isn't the bad thing that happens that matters, it's what you do about it. So what do we do about our loss? Well, I'm not holding on to guilt or regret. It's hard because I go there, goodness, But then I think, well, when I'm down there and then I notice that I've been down in the darkness with guilt and despair and regret and what if and maybe this should have happened and I was wrong. I then think I'm in the darkness, I need to come back up to the light. And I say, go away. Well, I swear at the darkness. I'm not going to swear on the video here. But I just say, off. This is not mine. You don't belong to me. And there is a relief. And I pray. But I don't pray by kind of reciting prayers, though that is wonderful. I just say, help me. I don't want to be in the darkness. Show me how to be light. Show me how to be true to myself. Show me how to be now with this difficult death that I'm dealing with. Keep me in the light. So perhaps death isn't such a bad thing. Perhaps death has gifts. It teaches us how to live if we let it. It also can show us, not all deaths, it can show us how dying is done. It can teach us a lot. And I think that after every death, when the mist has cleared, there is a gift. There is a gift left for us by the person who's gone. What is that gift for you? What is that gift? The gift that Kostya left me is this sudden understanding of light and dark, and this lightness of heart and lightness of spirit when I think of him. I hope, if you're listening to this and you're bereaved, that you feel loved and that somehow there is light in your life too. I'm sending you love. God bless.